Sometimes when I talk to fellow Danes, I almost forget to introduce them in English because we just spoke Danish just a few seconds ago. But Peter, for the convenience of our international audience,
thank you very
welcome
much
to INKISH. Peter, I have interviewed you a couple of times here on INKISH, and the first time we spoke about, spoke together, that was about Labelhub, a company that you are part owner of. Very, very briefly, what is Labelhub?
Labelhub is a SaaS solution for the label industry. So what we do is we offer a subscription model where you can have a customer web portal and you can have pre-press automation, and in an upcoming version you will have a proofing portal for your artwork as well. And we can connect to all ERP and MIS systems out there.
Okay, because that is, I'm happy that you mentioned that, because as I said to you yesterday, we had a 9 hours long webinar about all the different kind of MIS solutions, ERP solutions in the market, and the first question I asked you before we turned on the camera was actually, why Labelhub? Isn't this something that can be managed in your MIS systems? And you had a good answer. Can you just repeat that?
So all your ordering you will always do in your ERP and MIS system. But what we offer is that you can have a customer web portal. That means that all your labels inside of your MIS system can be shown directly out to your customers. And we all know from the label industry that reordering is a very, very high percentage of our orders. I've seen numbers like 80% of reordering and 20% new orders. And this is where you can get really efficient.
So to understand you correctly, the process today is typically that a label converter gets, let's say, the art material, the specifications, and then they agree with the pricing and quotes and all that things. And then basically the first time you do a job, it makes sense to have that conversation because you need the guidance, you need understanding of substrate, you need the understanding of what technology to use, etc. And then basically, because 80% is typically reordering without changes in the design, now when using Labelhub, that means that art material, that order details, that can be delivered on a customer-specific portal. That means that if I'm in the charcuterie division, I can go and see my own labels that I have produced with my converter for whatever period of time that I have worked with them. And instead of referring to an order and send an email, I can just see, okay, this is the one I need, and this is the one I need, and I need this many and this many, and then basically then Labelhub take care of it from
That is correctly, but there's also a little bit extra. So you're 100% correct. You can go in, you can see, let's say, your 100 different article numbers or your labels in the system. Then you can reorder the labels very easily and have a visual view of what you are reordering. That is easy, and then it will send that order data directly to your MIS system, which will then plan and handle all internal production. We see though that the 80%, that is actually also where there is sometimes a graphic artwork change. But in Labelhub, you can actually go in at the same label you have had 3-4 times before. You will never have that again, but this is the new version of that label. As an end customer, you can simply just take your PDF, drag and drop it on top of that one. It will then pre-flight it, and if everything is okay, it will move the old one step down, and this is the new one that will fully automatically be sent out to your press, ready to print.
That is smart, because that basically means that if 80% of the orders are reorders, you eliminate all the time of pre-press. You basically, or at least the ones that are like, that go through without any changes or any technical hiccups. But that should save a printing company or a converter a lot of money and a lot of time, right?
That's also how we see it, and that's why we have built a product that is so. The brain of data will always be in your MIS ERP system, but we take all that very good data, bring it out in the front end, so end customers can see this data. Then we match it with the incoming artwork. So that means that we can pre-fly it much more precisely. And then we can even make the step and repeat in position all the way out to your digital units, for example.
And when you look at the customers that are already using Labelhub, I mean, is there like data that kind of indicates how much time a converter saves by having a Labelhub?
Yeah, you can say that. I'll just bring in a brief thing. We started out thinking that we were going for the smaller converters, and we found ourselves still going to the smaller ones, but actually some of the bigger ones. We are getting a lot of those as well, and the reason is that there's so much. There can easily come a lot of overhead in your company, and this you maybe don't always feel when you're working there. But then suddenly there comes so much artwork in with your new digital machines that you can keep all the people you have, but you can manage the amount of orders that are getting much higher. So I don't know if there's numbers on it. You can calculate them exactly as you want them, but we definitely see that you have much faster response time to your customers. You have much faster workflow in your house, and you can collect so much more orders with the same amount of people.
But I think I can extend on that, because I was just thinking while you were talking, if you look at a process in a printing company, I think that most printing companies, at least before digital, was like, okay, if we're very busy, we employ more staff because it made sense because of the print runs and the value of an order. But now when you go digital, you can have orders down to one. And therefore you basically end up in situations where you cannot employ you out of a trend that is 100% certain. I mean, because let's say that you invest in a new digital or hybrid label press, and now you are starting to get, instead of having 10 orders a day, you get 200 orders per day. Obviously, this is something that is, if 80% is reordering, you need to automate the entire ordering process and also let the customer take more responsibility. Otherwise, it's simply not feasible.
Yes, exactly. And I'll also say we have a standard system that everyone can use, and sometimes we also help with let's say we use all the technology we have, and then we can have special cases. We for example have one case, and this is where you could put numbers in. It's something where they order every week, and in the old days, and this sounds crazy, but when this order came in, it would take around 20 hours to process this order, and this was of course with order intake, typing into MIS system, making the pre-press ready, making all the impositions and so on. And today it takes under 1 hour. So this is where you can really see numbers efficient.
Yeah, and that also shows another thing, that is not just about ordering repetitive orders. It is also like automatically repetitive orders. Like let's say that again, if you are in a food company where you have a lot of labels, you don't want to have too many labels in stock, but you need to be sure that you have it whatever frequency you need it. Can you set up also in Labelhub like, okay, this label I would like to order every 2 weeks, or can you set like scheduling on it as well?
I actually think it's a good idea, so thank you for that. But no, we don't. Yeah, you'll
I'll send an invoice.
No, but no, you can't do that today. I think it could be smart. You need, of course, a use case where this would work in. I would say it would maybe not run out of you would order something it will order automatically when the stock comes down to this amount, then it will automatically order. So I would I would put it into the MIS system. That is the clever brain for that, and Labelhub would then show what happens. And that's the way we always look at, where does this need to be done.
That makes sense. Peter, I can't remember. I think the first time we spoke, that was during COVID, right? And at that time you were like a relatively new company. I think you were less than a year old when we spoke or something like that. How is business developing? Do people understand the value of what you're offering, or is that? How? So
first of all, we have great customers out there, and we have had a startup because we started from the ground up. Yes, we knew a lot about the industry, but the product needed to be built from scratch. The first couple of years, we had technical things to get it up and running for a great product, and we are developing every day new features. But I think it's going really well now. We started out in Denmark. We are having great customers here in Denmark, but now we are extending, and we are in Holland, Australia, Sweden, UK, Slovenia, and so on. So we are actually Greece. So we are actually expanding, and it's not so important for us which countries, because it is a cloud system and we run on Amazon Web Services. That means that it covers the whole world.
And one thing is, of course, that you can both, because it's a software that can be installed and remotely managed and things like that. But I was also thinking that when you come with something that, you don't have like real competition in this reordering kind of Labelhub thing, do you? Or?
We don't know of that many standard customer portals that you can connect to whatever MIS system, but some of the companies that make MIS systems, they have their own portal.
They have similar functionality, but it's just integrated into. And if you look at from, let's say now let's say that we of course want to talk to the converter and not to the competition in the market. I would say that having a software that is not integrated to your MIS solution basically gives you the freedom that if you want to change your MIS system at one point, you don't need to change the.
That is correct. Yes, right? We are though integrated to the MIS system.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is that let's say that you have MIS X in a converter, and now you want to change to MIS Y, and you have, let's say, 100 customers that are using whatever front end they have to reorder. It makes a lot of sense to choose to make Labelhub because you are agnostic to which MIS system you're using. So now a converter can basically have more freedom without jeopardizing the relationship with his customers, right? Because I know customers would hate that. Okay, we have 2,000 labels in your system, and now we're changing MIS system. So hey, you need to re-upload everything, and basically this this legacy kind of thing is obsolete when you choose.
But that's
to work
correct.
With Labelhub, right?
We even though they change their MIS. We can still have the customer facing, and they can jump to either a newer version of that MIS system or change completely MIS system, and that's both with our customer facing customer portal and for the full pre-press automation. We call it under the hood. And that actually helps them a lot. And we even have companies right now that started with Labelhub knowing they were going to a new MIS system. We integrated the old
so they could start,
and then they could faster come out to their customers. Now they are upgrading their MIS system, and we will just change over to that one when that is ready, because that always takes a little bit longer than planned. Yes.
Like always, as you say. One thing is, of course, the technology side to it. But I was also thinking that when you go to market, and let's say that you are one of the few, let's say, platforms that are not integrated into systems, is that a challenge when you meet the market? I mean, I've seen you at both Label Expo and where did I see you else? You were I didn't see you, but you were also in this Polish event just a few months ago. Precisely. Yeah. And I was just thinking that when you meet customers, do they understand this, or is there also like a learning curve to really understand the value of what
I think we started out with really focusing on the customer portal, and then we made pre-press automation under the hood as a second leg in the company. We see that the customers out there, they see a very big value in our pre-press automation in the cloud, because it's so easy to get started.
And when you talk about that pre-press automation, that is basically having like one-up file from the customer, basically pre-flight it, and if it goes through without any issues, basically step it out and make sure that it can go directly to the machine. Yes. That is a service that you have realized that people actually like a lot.
It sounds easy to make, but we see that it often gets sometimes to a pretty big project to have that installed and made it automated. And that's where we hook into their MIS system. We tell them what data we need and we help them. And from there on, you can bring in your PDF, and 10 seconds later, it can be on your digital press. And then when they have seen that, then we have all data to show them out to their customer. So in that sense, it's actually turned around. But you can have Labelhub only as a customer web portal. You can have it only with pre-press automation, or you can have both. And you can always upgrade, downgrade, do whatever is needed in your business.
I remember when I interviewed you the first time, you mentioned that it can be used for all kinds of platforms, but that you were specifically developing Labelhub for the digital machines, because you can basically communicate directly with the machines. Is that also how you see it today? I mean, one of the things that you see when you go to Label Expo and you go to the shows in general is there is an enormous focus on hybrid machines and having that mix of technology. Is that a challenge for customers using Labelhub, or is it only digital that you
We were
emphasize?
Pretty specific in the beginning of only digital, because we were a smaller company at that time, and we knew that this was where we could have real value day one. And that was very important for us. Today we do flexible packaging, we do mostly for digital, but we do hybrid machines, we do flexo machines. So nowadays we have no challenges. So we cover all kinds of labels now and all kinds of machines. Of course, we don't do the flexo plates, but we can deliver the file ready for the flexo plate. And an add-on is for laser cutting. We deliver all data for the laser cutting system as well. So JDF, XML, and the cutting layer. So we are pretty broad now.
When you say that you deliver it, I mean, the pre-press software doesn't do anything except what is the files are delivered. So I mean, I take that the files need to have the laser die cuts or the color separations already in files, so it is easy for the converter to make sleeves or decide. I mean, it's not that you do something that is automatically, doing dies or anything like that, right?
But so if you have a label with a die layer on, then of course we send that die layer to the laser cutter. But that is when we call it a fantasy. So let's say a Christmas tree. Of course it needs to be made. But if it's square, rounded, or whatever, we can make it. So we know it's 100 times 100 with a corner radius of 2, and we know the size of the label. We can just add the die layer and send it directly to the laser cutter, no trouble.
Fantastic. Last thing, Peter. I take a company like Labelhub, you're not going
No,
to
no,
Label
no, of course
Expo,
not.
right?
No, we are, of course, at Label Expo in 4 weeks or something. And we are standing at 2 different booths. So we will stand together with the screen that makes digital presses, and we'll be standing at the booth with the Graphitronic. So there will be a booth both places. And we are actually going to Printing United as well. That I haven't tried before, but I look forward.
You will have fun. I mean, Atlanta and
Sure,
America is always
there.
fun. So yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
I've been there 15 times. Not at Label, not at the Printing United, because it's only the second, of course, the third. But yeah, Peter, it seems that things are moving forward with Labelhub. It seems like you have a solution that should make. That makes a lot of sense for the converters that are really looking into optimizing the process, and with all the labor challenges that most people talk about, it must be a relatively cheap investment to consider compared to not being able to find qualified people for your pre-press department. So congratulations on your journey, and I hope that we will soon see each other in person, and also make a follow-up into you when we can see the next iteration of Labelhub. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.